G'day, mate. This is the Do and Teach Guy podcast. Quick disclaimer, everything I say is my opinion or interpretation only, and is based on my logic, research, and convictions. All scriptures are read from the New King James Version. So veg out and let's give it a bash. This is episode 3, and today we're continuing our End Times timeline. If you haven't watched the first part of this series, what are you doing? Go back and watch it first. The second seal and the second horseman. We pick up back at the second seal in verse 4 of Revelation 6. Another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, and that people should kill one another, and there was given to him a great sword. This, I believe, is something along the lines of mass riots, like worldwide, where there'll be so many accidental and purposeful killings that the government and authorities won't be able to do anything about them. The riots will probably start over the introduction of the Mark of the Beast system. Sidetrack, the Mark of the Beast. Speaking of the Mark of the Beast system, I'd say that it'll be similar to the systems brought into our countries during the plandemic in 2020. Including my own country, Australia. Everyone had to take an experimental drug, which is now in the process of being banned almost everywhere, to get access to an app that they needed in order to go anywhere or buy anything. And since I opted out of that system, I was not allowed to go to my full-time job for about a year. I chewed through about 7 years of savings to get me through that time until I was allowed to go back to work. Clearly, God allowed me to save up just for that event, like the 7 years of plenty before the 7 years drought. Anyway, the supermarket was about the only place I was allowed to go, and then only once a week. And as long as I wore a mask and never got within 2 meters or 6 feet of anyone else. It was more than a little inconvenient, but we all begrudgingly did as we were told. The Mark of the Beast system might be similar, but stricter. I don't believe there'll be any physical mark on people's hands or their foreheads, but I do think that we'll have to swear some kind of allegiance to the Antichrist in some form to get the tick on the app. Chances are that the Antichrist will somehow merge all the religions in the world, with exception to the one true religion, into one new faith. We'll probably have to register with this new catch-all religion, which will include something like an oath. There is a theory out there that I don't subscribe to, but it says that the Mark of the Beast will be a gene-altering shot that introduces demon or Nephilim DNA to make people superhumans. But I'll talk about that more in another episode. There'll also be a helper to the Antichrist who is called the Image of the Beast. This beast could be an AI. See Revelation 13 verses 15 and 16. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. An AI, possibly controlled by a demon, could have the means to keep track of everyone in the world and dob them in for not following the Antichrist's instructions. The AI could be the one who gives out the mark, which strengthens the idea of a digital and not spiritual mark, as opposed to a physical one. Sorry for jumping around so much, but this is all one complicated mess which needs many things explained to make any sense. I recommend that you watch or listen to this whole End Times episode series a second time to really get what I'm so poorly trying to portray. Back to the mark. The Bible is pretty clear that the mark on your hand refers to your actions, and the mark on your forehead represents your thoughts and intents, like in Deuteronomy 6, verses 6 to 8. And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk to them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. So I'd say both marks are spiritual, God's seal and the beast's seal. We'll get to the third seal in a minute, but first we need to go down another sidetrack. The flying scroll. There is another theory I have that at some point a nuclear Scud missile might hit Gaza around this time and destroy it. This is based on two lots of verses. The first is Matthew 24, verse 15 to 18. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not go down to take anything out of his house, and let him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes. Judea is now around the area of Gaza. Fleeing to the mountains would put people closer to Jerusalem and the Red Sea. Over there is quite far from Gaza and well out of range of a nuclear explosion. To make this make sense, you also need to look at Zechariah chapters 5 and 6. You can read the whole thing for yourself when you have time, but I'll just go through the highlights. We'll start reading with chapter 6, verses 1 to 3. Then I turned and raised my eyes and looked, and behold, 4 chariots were coming from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of bronze. With the first chariot were red horses, with the second chariot black horses, with the third chariot white horses, and with the fourth chariot dappled horses, strong steeds. This part is really only here to set the timing. Those 4 horsemen suggest that this is happening around the time where the horsemen start their missions. Back to chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Then I turned and raised my eyes, and saw there a flying scroll. And he said to me, What do you see? So I answered, I see a flying scroll. Its length is 20 cubits, and its width is 10 cubits. I don't see how he can see a flying scroll and know the exact dimensions of it, but that's beside the point. These dimensions work out to be 10.5 meters, or 34.5 feet long, with a diameter of 1.6 meters, or 5.5 feet. This is the same size as a modern Scud missile. On to verses 3 to 4. Then he said to me, "This is the curse that goes over the face of the whole earth. Every thief shall be expelled, according to this side of the scroll, and every perjurer shall be expelled, according to that side of it. I will send out the curse, says the Lord of hosts. It shall enter the house of the thief, and the house of the one who swears falsely by my name. It shall remain in the midst of his house and consume it, with its timbers and stones." These thieves that it talks about, I assume, are the terrorists at Gaza who stole the land from Israel. This curse that remains must be the nuclear radiation that stays around for a while. Since the terrorists are mostly Muslim extremists who call God Allah, are clearly swearing falsely by his name, I think that the nuke will be exploded in the air above the area to reduce damage to the landscape, but it will still allow the radiation to flood the area for miles around, seeping into the timber and the stone for years. Next verses is 6 to 8. So I asked, "What is it?" And he said, "It is a basket that is going forth." He also said, "This is their resemblance throughout the earth. Here is a lead disc lifted up, and this is a woman sitting inside the basket." Then he said, "This is wickedness." And he thrust her down into the basket and threw the lead cover over its mouth. I interpret this wickedness as being the warhead. The basket is a container made out of lead, which the warhead uses to stop radiation leaking out. Next is verse 9 to 11. Then I raised my eyes and looked, and there were 2 women, coming with the wind in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork, and they lifted up the basket between the earth and heaven. So I said to the angel who talked with me, "Where are they carrying the basket?" And he said to me, "To build a house for it in the land of Shinar. When it is ready, the basket will be set there on its base." So the 2 women must be some kind of plane. Storks tend to glide more than flap their wings. These would resemble plane wings. But I don't think a plane is carrying the missile, because no plane is big enough to carry a missile that size. Scud missiles are usually launched from rocket launcher trucks. I would say that the planes are helping guide the missile and detonating it. The land of Shinar is now the Iran area, so it sounds like it'll be sent over by them or someone near them. But why would Iran nuke Gaza, you ask? Well, I think they would be targeting somewhere like Israel, but then Israel somehow intercepts or diverts it, and it blows up over the top of Gaza. The 3rd seal and the 3rd horseman. Moving on, the 3rd seal is in verse 5. When he opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd living creature say, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. I'm pretty sure that this is universally recognized as inflation, more specifically, hyperinflation. In that time, if you managed to find any food with all the scarcity and hoarding going on, chances are that you won't be able to afford much of it. This will result in more theft, which in turn will raise the prices even more. Sidetrack, learn to garden. I recommend you start learning how to grow your own food. I suggest potatoes. They're easy to grow, have long growing seasons, store for a long time, and have a high calorie percentage per weight. Also, you may want to store up some food like canned goods and grains. This could help not only yourself, but your friends and family too. It never hurts to be prepared. In another episode, I'll talk about preparing some more. The fourth seal and the fourth horseman. The fourth seal is in verse 8. So I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and the name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades followed him, and power was given to them over a fourth of the earth, to kill with sword, with hunger, with death, and by the beasts of the earth. I'm not sure how you kill with death, but we'll ignore that. This seal is basically millions of people dying of hunger from the previous seal. Also, they'll get sick from malnutrition and from eating things that they probably shouldn't have eaten, like shoes and poisonous mushrooms and berries they foraged. You should probably look into what edible forageables you have around your area. It can't hurt. After these horsemen, the fifth seal happens, which we talked about earlier. Now back to the asteroid. Asteroid's composition. I heard somewhere that Apophis might be a peanut shape. Then from somewhere else that it may be made of heavy iron. I think that when this thing is approaching, many nukes will be sent up to either try and break the rock apart or try and divert it away from the Earth. However, these attempts will probably only break it into two big chunks and a bunch of smaller debris. One chunk will inevitably land in the sea and the other should hit the ground, possibly destroying Babylon. Who is Babylon? Now for the question of what or who or where is Babylon. Here I think the Bible is pretty clear as to who it says Babylon is these days. See Revelation 14 verse 8. And another angel followed, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So we need to look for something that has affected the whole world, causing them to move away from God. Initially, I thought this could be the Muslim religion, but that didn't fit after reading further into Revelation. The Bible's description of Babylon in Revelation 17 and 18 describes more accurately the Roman Catholic Church as Babylon and the woman with the beast. Sorry to all my Catholic friends out there, but I'm just saying what I think the Bible is saying. I don't want it to be the Catholic Church, but it's not up to me. Here are some snippets from those chapters. Revelation 17 verse 4. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. First of all, I believe that the woman in Revelation represents the leadership of this religion, not just the people of a certain country or city. This woman is wearing purple and scarlet and has a bunch of golden stuff, just like the priests in the Catholic Church do. Revelation 17 verse 9. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Rome, which is where the head of the Catholic Church is called the City of 7 Mountains. Revelation 17 verse 15. Then he said to me, the waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Catholicism is everywhere, and in every country. They also speak every single language. Verse 18. And the woman who you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. Most of the kings of the earth are Catholic, and all Catholics bow down to the Pope as the head of the Catholic Church. Revelation 18 verses 12 and 13. Merchandise of gold and silver, precious stones and pearls, fine linen and purple, silk and scarlet, every kind of citron wood, every kind of object of ivory, every kind of object of most precious wood, bronze, iron, and marble, and cinnamon and incense, fragrant oil and frankincense, wine and oil, fine flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and chariots, and bodies and souls of men. These are all things that come out of Italy, and recognized as the best of their kind in the world. Italy has a strong ivory trade, even though it's banned in most countries these days. Italian marble is held in the highest esteem. Both wine and olive oil come from Italy and are meant to be the best. And as for wheat, where is the best pasta in the world from? Chariots could equate to fancy cars like Ferrari and Lamborghini. Finally, the souls of men could probably represent tourism, since Rome is one of the top tourist locations in the world. So Apophis will likely strike the Vatican in Rome, but that's just my guess. The 7th seal. Moving on to the trumpets which make up the 7th seal. Sidetrack, a 360-day year again? I'll go through the trumpets and explain how they may all be related to this one asteroid event in a minute, but first I want to mention that the impact of this meteor will likely alter the orbit of the Earth and push it back into an even 360-day year, just like it was originally before God made the sun stand still in Joshua chapter 10, which probably forced the Earth into a new orbit. If you don't remember that event, you can look it up for yourself. The first trumpet. So, trumpet 1 from Revelation 8 verse 7. The first angel sounded, and hail and fire followed, mingled with blood, and they were thrown to the earth, and 1/3 of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. This is a combination of small bits from the meteor hitting Earth and chunks of debris flying around from the impact. Also, the section that hits the water might send lots of water up into the atmosphere where it all freezes into large boulders and rains back down. The second trumpet. Trumpet 2 verses 8 and 9. Then the second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea. And a third of the sea became blood, and a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. 1/2 of the broken asteroid lands in the sea. It breaks apart and the pieces are scattered around. Because Apophis could be made up of mostly iron, it would turn all the sea around it red, as iron does in water. The third trumpet. Trumpet 3 is in verses 10 and 11. Then the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch. And it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the water, because it was made bitter. The second half of Apophis hits the ground, probably where Babylon is, and destroys it. Once again, it breaks up and sends bits of iron everywhere, including into a bunch of the drinking water and freshwater rivers, turning them red too. If you didn't know, blood contains a fair bit of iron, and iron has a strong taste. So drinking water with iron in it will make you feel like you're drinking blood. Yummo. The fourth trumpet. Trumpet 4 from verse 12. Then the fourth angel sounded, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them were darkened, and a third of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. This sounds like it's describing the dust from the impact filling the atmosphere. For weeks or months, the skies of the whole earth might be reddish and dim. Also, the impact may set off many volcanoes in a chain reaction that are around that area, possibly even causing eruptions on the other side of the planet. This will send more smoke into the atmosphere, and of course, more fire raining down. The fifth trumpet. Trumpet 5, which I think is also woe number 1. Revelation 9 verses 1 to 6. Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven to the earth. To him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit. Then out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth, and to them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. They were commanded not to harm the grass of the earth, or any green thing, or any tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And they were not given authority to kill them, but to torment them for 5 months. Their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. In those days men will seek death and will not find it. They will desire to die, and death will flee from them. So the bottomless pit that's opened by the angel is probably a prison containing many demons. These could be the demons who fathered the Nephilim before the flood. After committing that atrocious act, they were locked away as punishment. This might be referenced in 1 Peter 3 verses 18 to 20. For Christ also suffered once for sins, the just for the unjust, that he may bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh but made alive by the Spirit, by whom he also went and preached to the spirits in prison, who formerly were disobedient, when once the divine long-suffering waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was being prepared, in which a few, that is, 8 souls, were saved through water. And 2 Peter 2 verse 4. For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved for judgment. And Jude 1 verse 6. And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Now, the smoke that came from the pit, like a great furnace, could be from the meteor and volcanoes, but also these extra demons being released will make the world a metaphorically darker place too. They will deceive mankind even more and cause worse riots, killings, and mayhem. These demons will probably be much worse than the current ones we have now, because they've been trapped in jail for so long, and they probably have heaps of built-up frustrations and anger that they need to release on people. Verse 6 of chapter 9, where men want to die but can't, I think can be explained this way. The demons torturing the people will continuously heal those who are close to death, just so they can torture them some more. Like the demons are having too much fun playing with their human toys that they won't let them die, and of course the fact that they still have to obey God's command not to kill the people. Pretty nasty stuff. And yes, demons have the power to heal people. Of course, they would only do it when it serves their purposes, not just to be nice. But I'll go into that in more detail about demons and angels in other episodes. Time's up for now. We'll continue on to Trumpet 6 next time. That's it for today. Thanks for listening. I pray that your faith grows, but more importantly, that it's shown through your life and your actions. Catch ya.